I don't know why I'm so out of breath right now. I walked for like 5 seconds and I'm like out of breath. That's how out of shape I am right now with this quarantine and not going to the gym and not working out like whatsoever besides walking my dog. It's really taking a toll on me and I really feel like I'm getting fluffy and I'm not okay with it. I actually love doing car chats. I've said this like quite a few times. I feel way more comfortable and like way more myself in the car and I feel like I can talk about anything. Honestly, story times are lit in the car. I don't think I'll start doing them in the car or anything. You guys probably prefer like a nice background or something, but I just love the way it feels to tell stories in the car. It just feels personal. It feels like you're in like the passenger seat and we're like, hey bitch, what's up? And I'm telling you a story, you know what I'm saying? So I came in my car, Sebastian's inside, he's sleeping. I wanted to tell you guys this little story and kind of like warn you guys because it really is scary, and when I found out I was legitimately shook, and when I posted about it on my Instagram story you guys were like, oh my god. I think it was the most replies I've like ever gotten to an Instagram story in my life. I'm not even kidding, because you guys were just as shook as me. And when I tell you guys this, a lot of you guys don't follow me, you don't care about me too much personally, so you're gonna judge me or you're gonna think a bunch of wild thoughts or you're gonna make a lot of wild assumptions. When I tell you I'm being completely straightforward, I know exactly what happened. There's no like conspiracy theories with this besides what I know happened, and it was just a really scary situation and I just kind of want to warn you guys. It's a story that probably some of you will get mad at me at and will like, you know, hate in the comments down below, and I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for this video. Honestly, I don't care, because if I can kind of warn any of you and lead you in a better direction, because I know a lot of you do this as well, I would like to do that. So might as well just get to it. So you guys know I have my dog Callie. She's a little Shih Tzu. She is 7 months old and I've talked about her quite a lot on my channel. You guys see her a lot. I've even made like a story time about her when she was like super sick and how we got her from like a super scammy place and stuff. I feel like she's been through so much and I've spent a lot of money making sure she's okay, but she's my daughter. It is what it is. I'll drain my bank account for that little baby girl. I love her so freaking much. Basically, long story short, I'll tell you like the background. Sebastian, I feel like you guys know this, my boyfriend, he smokes weed medicinally, so it's like medicine for him. He has really bad ADHD, and when he tried ADHD meds growing up with like his family, it didn't work and it turned him really depressed and he couldn't eat, and it was like the opposite of what should help him. So as some of you know, some people smoke weed medicinally, and in California it's legal. It's like perfectly legal. You can go down the street, there's like a cop sitting outside of a Clindo. Like, it's not anything crazy. I know if you're living in a place where it's not legal you might be like, whoa, but it's completely legal where I live in Southern California. He basically smokes weed. He smoked weed for a few years. It calms him down. It's never been anything that's made him crazy or anything like that. It's just something he does medicinally for his ADHD. I know a lot of friends that I have that have ADHD that smoke weed as well. I don't personally smoke weed. Sometimes if I'm bored I will. Cool, maybe, but it's so rare. Actually, like now it's the most rare ever. Maybe like 2 times a month, if that. So that's kind of the side story. My boyfriend smokes weed. He goes to this place that is a lot cheaper than if you go to recreational places. So recreational places, now that they're legalized, are really expensive. They're like $100 sometimes for like an eighth or like a little more than that. It's like crazy expensive. So there's tons of Clindos that are more low-key and under the radar and are not like government ran, and you can get your weed a lot cheaper. So a lot of people know about these places, and they're like big like Clindos where there's music and they have like glass and all your choices and everything, and they have like all this stuff and it looks like really professional, but it's like basically hidden away. So people go to this place to get a really good deal, right? So Sebastian found this place, he loved it. Like, I'd go with him, and so I would just like usually stay in the car, he'd do his thing, but I knew about this place. Like, I knew the people in there. The people seemed pretty nice, but you know, it wasn't like government ran or anything like that, or government regulated. So we always steered away from recreational because of the prices, which was really dumb now that this all happened. So now let's go to the story. So this was about like 2 Thursdays ago, and Sebastian came home from his shift at work and he had the next like 3 days off. So it's Thursday night and we're just chilling, and on the coffee table, I always tell him, I say, don't put your weed on the coffee table, nothing like that, and he usually doesn't, but he just had like this little tiny can. It was like this little tiny, I don't even know how to explain it, like you pop it open on the sides with your fingers, and it had this little tiny bit of moon rock in it. If you don't know what moon rock is, it's basically weed dipped in like THC oil or wax covered in keef, and it's literally just weed. Like, there should be nothing else in it, it's just flower. So obviously that's what he thought. It smelt very fruity, it looked weird, it didn't look like flower. We just never questioned it because we got it from this place, like we trusted them, they were cool. Now that like we looked into it, it didn't look right. He has like this little tiny thing of moon moon rock left. So it smells like fruit, right? It smells just like my dog's Callie's treats. She has these little things called greenies. They're good for her teeth. They smell really fruity and good. We get her like the blueberry flavor, and this smelled exactly like it. So as we were like chilling on the couch, just relaxing, hanging out, somehow Callie had grabbed that little tiny canister, I think that's what it's called, and she had squeezed it with her teeth to open it up. And it wasn't like open and just like hanging out or anything like that. Like she literally opened up the thing, got it out, and started eating it. But at this moment we didn't know that, so we were just like smelling the smell. We're like, why does it smell like fruit? And I thought it was Seb's vape. We're smelling the smell, and I think Seb realizes it before I do, because I literally just thought it was like a vape smell or something, and I was like, is that a new flavor? Like, what is that? So basically Callie is nowhere to be found. Seb starts freaking out, and he was like, where's my moon rock? He realizes that like that's the smell that we're smelling. And so right to like the side of me is like the canny that she opened. So it's like right next to me, and it's open. It was closed on the coffee table, and now it's open on the couch, and Callie is like on the floor chewing on something. So Seb runs over to her, and I didn't know what was going on at this point. I was honestly in shock, because in my head I'm like, if she just ate that, that is much stronger than just flour. So I was like literally in shock. I was like, oh my god, her little body is not gonna be able to handle that. And I was freaking out. So he pulls it out of her mouth. It's the piece of rock. Okay, we're gonna say flour and rock for the sake of the video, okay? It's the piece of rock in her mouth, and it's like chewed up, and I smell her breath, and it just smells totally like it. And I bursted out into tears, and I had never been so like scared in my life. Like, I'm telling you, like, I've done so much for this little baby girl. We just got her spayed. She's been sick. We get all of her medications. We've taken her to the emergency room twice, and so I'm like bawling my eyes out. He's like freaking out, and he obviously would never have meant for Callie to get that. Callie is sneaky. She's hungry. She's chunky. She eats everything, and the only option, because it was like 8 o'clock at this point, was to take her to the emergency room that we'd taken her to in the beginning for puppy kennel cough or something it's called. I'm like freaking out. I'm getting on my shoes, and we're like arguing. I'm like really scared and upset. I'm more just scared for Callie. I know it's an accident. It's nobody's fault. Like, you know, it's a lesson to be learned. Like, he'll never put his stuff on the coffee table again or anything like that. Like, I've made it sure, like, I don't put anything on there that she can get to. Like, she's like acting pretty normal until she starts going crazy. She starts like crying and screaming, and she's running around the house like 50 miles an hour. I'm not even kidding. She's like zooming around the house, barking, crying, like barking at us, biting us, like going insane. And I was literally crying so hard at this point. And so she comes into the room, and she's trying to jump on my bed, and she's jumping so fast and hard into my bed. She keeps hitting herself on the bed and then going back and trying again. I was literally so scared at this point. I was like, she's going insane. Like, this is too strong for her. This isn't even the story or like the half of it. This is just the very beginning. At this point, I'm like, let's fucking go right now. And I didn't care what the cost was gonna be. I knew it was gonna be crazy expensive, but I was like, I don't want her to, you know, have an overdose or whatever's happening right now. She didn't like eat the whole thing. She didn't even eat a lot, but she's tiny and she's young. And so even like a bite of that stuff is too much for her. We take her, we go to the emergency room. Seb's driving. He's like rushing to this emergency hospital. I'm sitting with her. I'm crying. I'm looking at her, and she's making like these crying noises. She's shaking, and her head's kind of going like this. Like, she like couldn't like hold her head up straight or like see straight. My baby just looks so distressed. Like, she looks not okay. She clearly is like hallucinating or whatever right now, you know? And so we get there. I'm like crying to the emergency people, and they come out, and you literally had to like sit in your car and go to the door. Like, you couldn't even go inside the emergency room because of this coronavirus stuff. It's crazy. So we had to like sit in the car, and they would come to the door and like call us. But anyways, we go to the door, we tell her exactly what happened, and he's like, okay, so she just got into weed. Like, okay, just moon rock. I told him exactly what it is. It's flour dipped in THC oil, dipped in keef, which is literally just a part of weed. It's all 100% THC. I was like, I'm positive. There's nothing else she got. She was chewing it. We literally took it out of her mouth. We know exactly what it was, what the smell was. That's what she got, right? He goes back inside, he takes her, and we're just waiting in the car where I'm silent. I'm like freaking out. We're talking about it, and they call us, and they're like, okay, are you sure that that's all that she got into? And I was like, 1000% positive. That's all there is in the house for her to get into anyway. It's facts. Like, she opened the candy, she was chewing on it, she smelled like it, and we took it out of her mouth. So we know exactly what she was eating in that moment. And we always have our eyes on her. We can always see what she's doing. And for those like 2 seconds, we finally realized she was gone and doing something. That's when we saw she was chewing on it. So it's not like she was just getting into a bunch of stuff. Like, we don't have like drugs lying around, okay? We don't have anything like that. So at all. And that's like an assumption I feel like a lot of people made, like, oh, there's probably other stuff lying around. Like, no, we know exactly what happened. I was like, I'm positive. And I was getting pissed. And at first I was like, I wonder if like, because I gave her a little bit of human food that day. I gave her some pizza. And I was like, I wonder if like the pizza caused like some toxicity. And I was like, oh fuck. Like I was like freaking out. I was like, it might be the food that I gave her. And not a lot, but like a bite. She gives me those eyes when I'm eating my food. And I'm like, you know, they tell us that she needs like an IV, they need like an activated charcoal like rinse for her liver or something, and they need to basically keep her overnight. And it was about like 9 or 10 at this point, and then I was supposed to come back and get her at 7 o'clock. And before they could do that and like fix her up, it was gonna be $1,000. $1,000, you guys. I started bawling even harder. I was like, $1,000 right now. Of course, like we'll pay that so we can make sure she's okay. We're not just gonna take her home and like see what happens when she's like not okay right now. You know, it's stuck in the back of my head, like why did they say like, is that all she got into? I was like really confused. So we go home. It was really hard to sleep that night. They had her all night. I was supposed to go get her at like 7:30 the next morning. So I had my alarms on. I got up at 7. I was like ready to go. It's like 5 minutes from my house. Went there with Seb. We were like waiting for her. We were so excited to see her. Oh, I can't wait to go back in and give her love and hugs right now. They called us because, you know, we had to like sit outside in our cars. They like called us because you can't have any like human contact. And they were like, so we run some tests and everything, and basically she came back positive for THC and opiates. If you guys don't know what opiates are, opiates is basically fentanyl, heroin, there's so many others, Xanax. We were like, looked at each other and we were like, so what does that tell you about what she was chewing on? It had opiates in it. The way that stuff made Seb feel was not like how it should. He was like getting addicted and like almost fiending at times, and like didn't know why, because he'd always smoked the moon rock because it made it stronger for him, because he has a very, very high tolerance. And I hated the moon rock, so I'd never smoke when he smoked that. But when I did, like twice maybe, I smoked that stuff, my heart was racing. My heart was like having like it was hurting. My chest was really killing me. I had anxiety. Like I was like, it was not relaxing. And that's why I've stopped smoking recently, was because of that moon rock, was because it didn't feel right. And Seb just was like accepting it for what it was, and like didn't really like it, but it was cheap and it was all he knew, and like it is what it was. Like he didn't test it. We don't have like a test kit or anything. He was just like trusting these people, I guess. Yeah, so when we found that out, we were like freaking out. We're so happy she's okay. She recovered for like the next 2 days, and that day we were just like so upset, and he was so upset. We're honestly kind of scared. Like we just don't know what to do and how to handle that situation. We don't know who we're messing with, you know what I'm saying? So it's like a very scary situation. And in the back of my head, I'm like, what if like people go there and like know that, and that's like a secret thing you're supposed to know, but like people that don't know are just unaware that that's what they're getting? Because it's not, they don't sell other things. They only sell THC, which is weed. They don't sell other kinds of stuff or anything like that. It's literally a Clindo. Seb's like really pissed. He's like, I've been smoking this the whole time. Like I'm never going back there ever. Like that's so fucking sketchy. No wonder it's so cheap. No wonder it looks like that. No wonder it smells like that. And so I started looking into it, and it's actually very common for non-government owned places, or people that are selling like not government owned, to have such low quality weed that they have to basically make up for the quality and make it strong somehow. So they'll put in fentanyl, they could put in heroin, they could put in like Xanax, they could put in like a bunch of other kinds. Like you can look it up if you want, I guess, but there's so many different kinds that it could be, and they put that in there to make it stronger and like get you hooked and get you coming back, because they are cheaper and they aren't government regulated. Seb that night went to a recreational place that is completely tested, packaged, a real place, a real recreational place for the first time, and said, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna pay more money, because when you pay more money, you get what it's worth. If you pay less money, you're gonna get some shady shit. And it's just the way that it is. It usually works like that with everything. Yeah, he started going to the recreational place, and when he smoked it, he was like, I feel totally different. I actually feel relaxed again. I don't feel so like fiending. I don't feel weird. I don't feel any of those weird feelings I had where I thought like I was smoking weed, but it was just like how it was making me feel. Like I feel good. I feel normal. We're never going back to that place again. We're never going to any place like that again. And so I just really wanted to warn you guys to basically, if you do smoke weed, only get weed that is packaged and tested, because you literally could be smoking something else. People lace weed. It's not unheard of at all. It really is not. So don't trust everybody. And yeah, my dog like legitimately could have died, because we had no clue that there would have ever been anything like that in what Seb had. We were all just as shocked, and the fact that my dog had to go through that too like pisses me off even more, because if it was just THC, she probably would have been fine. So that's my little story. That's my little warning of how we found out Seb was smoking opiates with his weed on accident, and Callie got into it as well and legitimately could have died. And when I smoked it, it felt like my heart was like beating out of my chest and I was having a heart attack. Just be careful out there, and I just wanted to share that with you guys because I probably know a lot of my viewers do smoke, so just know what you're smoking, test it. I don't know, because I've never heard of that. I never would have expected that in a million years. I think first we want to test the little bit left that we have that we took out of Kelly's mouth. We want to test that so that we have full proof, because we literally have the piece that we took out of her mouth and we could test that so we could be for sure. I mean, she tested positive for that, so there's literally no way it could be anything else, but I just want like for sure proof. I don't want anybody else to have to deal with that or go through that. It's just really, really scary. So Callie's okay. She's totally back to normal now. And yeah, we're all healthy and happy over here. So don't trust these hoes. Like, do not trust these hoes. I do not trust any of these hoes. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Follow me on social media. The links are down below. Let me know what videos you want to see from me next during self-quarantine. I hope you guys are doing well. At least enjoying your time at home and like chilling and vibing and like just relaxing, because we all deserve it. We've all been through a lot of stress and a lot of shit. And honestly, I'm going through something super personal right now, and it's probably something I can never talk about on the internet, but that's okay. We're all gonna get through this. It's just a very stressful, hard time. I love you guys so much. Have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see your lovely, beautiful faces in my next video. Bye, guys.